The word Pisa conjures up a vision of the famous Leaning Tower. Whether this accurately portrays the city of 100,000 inhabitants or not, it's an everlasting image of this Tuscan city. The tower itself is the most junior of three splendid Romanesque structures located in the Field of Miracles. Construction of this magnificent bell tower began in 1173 and continued for over 2 centuries while the Pisans fought wars with local rivals. The Field of Miracles also houses 2 other wonders, the Pisa Cathedral and the Baptistry. Construction of the cathedral commenced in the late 11th century, and it houses beautiful artwork, including this intricately carved pulpit and stunning architectural details. Located across from the Duomo is the Baptistry, which dates to 1153. Visitors can climb to an upper level for an excellent view of the Duomo and the Leaning Tower. Departing Pisa, we next arrive in the town of Lucca. An ancient city, it can trace its origins back to the Roman era. By 177 BC, it had become a Roman colony, and in fact, the famous triumvirate of Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus was formed here in 56 BC. This city of 90,000 maintains several remnants of Roman times, including the remnants of Roman thermal baths. The site of the Roman amphitheater can also be discerned as its shape remains perfectly preserved at the Piazza dell'Anfiteatro. The present buildings were erected in 1830, and now one can dine where the combat of gladiators and the din of chariots provided a very different sort of entertainment. The old city is entirely surrounded by massive defensive walls that remain intact after nearly half a millennium. The original walls were constructed during the Roman era and were replaced and enlarged several times during the medieval period to account for expansion of the city. The current walls date from the Renaissance and were designed by Leonardo da Vinci. Construction took place from 1545 to 1650, but soon after that, their use as a defensive tool became obsolete. Now, modern-day cyclists and pedestrians can enjoy a ramble atop the wide, tree-lined lane and enjoy majestic, commanding views. The Greenwich Tower is another lovely structure from the distant past. Not easily missed, the roof is crowned with several large oaks, which are a symbol of renewal. Constructed in 1384, it was once owned by one of the most powerful merchant families of 15th century Lucca. At that time, many prominent families installed towers to add to the prestige of their homes, but now very few remain. Climbing to the top of the tower is possible and will afford a superb view of the city and evidence that the Roman street plan is still preserved to this day. The Duomo di Lucca and its bell tower sit on the site of the original 6th century religious building. The current structure was built from 1063 and remodeled in the Gothic style in the 14th century, at which time the lovely bell tower was added. The beauty of Lucca's architecture is also challenged by gorgeous marble statues, such as this one, and lush romantic gardens that provide a respite from the heat and bustle of the day. Colorful Pinocchios are found dangling in many shops, reminding passers-by that the fable of the boy who could never tell a lie was written by a local man, Carlo Collodi, who actually grew up in Florence. Florence is a city possessing an unsurpassed collection of Renaissance art and architecture. From the awe-inspiring David, sculpted by Michelangelo out of a 6-ton marble block, to a very different perspective of the same Goliath-slaying shepherd boy, cast in bronze by Donatello, the sheer volume of artistic treasures in the city can lead to what has been termed as Stendhal syndrome. This is well documented for the first time by the French author Stendhal, who while visiting Florence in the 19th century was dazed and overcome by emotion, like many others since. Here, for instance, is a lovely scene of French medieval village life intricately carved in ivory in the 14th century. This gorgeous Flemish tapestry was woven in 1480 and represents the Roman assault on Jerusalem in 70 AD. The Rape of the Sabines is another world-famous sculpture. The ruler of the oceans, Neptune, here stands proud and majestic on a pedestal in front of the Palazzo Vecchio, while beneath him seahorses and mermen frolic. Dating from the late 12th century, this enamel on copper depicts the religious theme of the adoration of the shepherds at the birth of Jesus Christ. The facade of the Florence Cathedral is resplendent in white, pink, and green marbles. Although the building of the cathedral started in 1296 and was structurally completed in 1469, it was not until the late 1880s that the current facade was installed. The dome also has an interesting history. The original design for the dome was from 1296 and called for the construction of the largest dome ever built. Crowned by a lantern and copper ball, it uses over 4 million bricks and still to this day remains the largest masonry dome ever built. Further, the beautiful bell tower was designed by Giotto. There are 7 bells within, each with its own name. The Ponte Vecchio crosses the Arno River. There has been a bridge at this spot for over 1,000 years, and the current one dates from 1345. There have always been shops on the Ponte Vecchio. In the late 16th century, it was decreed that only jewelers and goldsmiths could have shops on the bridge. It is very fascinating to window shop. There are many beautiful articles of all types to behold. On top of the Ponte Vecchio is a passageway that was built in the 16th century to link the Palazzo Vecchio with the Pitti Palace. During the Second World War, the treasuries of the Uffizi Gallery were actually brought to the corridor for safekeeping. This was the only bridge in Florence to be spared during Nazi bombing. The Palazzo Pitti is a lovely Renaissance palace and was owned by the Medici family. Located on the south banks of the Arno River, it houses several notable collections as well as a tranquil garden and magnificent views of the city from its position on the heights. It is not possible to visit Pisa, Lucca, or Florence without visiting the remarkable works of art and admiring majestic and magnificent ancient architecture, while at the same time enjoying delicious cuisine and fantastic hospitality.